Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News with me, Katira King. I'm joined by our in-house chef who will once a month be discussing the promotion of Afrofusion food, culture and lifestyle. Doyin is a food enthusiast and culinary arts expert born and raised in Boston, Massachusetts. Doyin has previously worked as a culinary chef instructor at Culinary Academy and just finished a managerial role at the George Hotel in the food and beverage department. And now that she's moved to Nigeria, her aim is to bring a fusion of American and West African food together. Doyin will be talking us through how Africa has played a role in the foods of Afro-Latino, Afro-Caribbean and African-American cuisine, as well as how to make Nigerian food more interesting and more fun. Welcome to the show, Doyin. How are you? You're very soft-spoken. What's the problem? But you've got to be excited on this show. The morning show is all about energy. Are you excited to be here? We're excited to have you. Now, Afrofusion it's a kind of cuisine that's come a long way. I mean, a lot of people weren't that interested in eating African food, not just a decade ago, much less 20. So why do you think it's experiencing such a popularity emergence right now?
I think a lot of people now have started taking an interest in food.
Right.
And they don't just see it as a job where you go to school and you took on this vocation because you didn't have like any other options. It's more of like a creative industry.
Right.
And people are now using their talents and skills to express themselves and to also show expressions about their cultures and their heritage.
Yeah.
So, and in America, especially America, places like London, Canada, there are a lot of people of African descent. Like
yes, indeed.
First, second, third generations from West Africa, not just West Africa, North Africa and the Caribbean. And, you know, when you talk to people from these different backgrounds, you see a lot of similarities with food, with spices, even with their Creole languages, with the patois,
very
etc.
true.
So you see all these people, you know, coming together and expressing their ideas in food, in music, in fashion, and so that's what's happening. I think there's like a renaissance going on.
I love that. So you're taking this to a whole new level. You're really showcasing it and putting it out there. Now, what sort of events do you have in the pipeline for us?
Well,
look at that smile.
Well, you know, Arise and this day, they're going to be working on a lot of interesting events.
Yes, we are.
One is going to be in Lagos. We're going to have one in DC.
Okay.
And possibly in Toronto. And it's going to basically highlight how, you know, West Africa, as a consequence of the slave trade, has influenced the cuisines that you find in the Caribbean, southern states in America, and South America. And we're going to be working with chefs, local chefs in Nigeria. We're going to work with food bloggers. We're going to be working with chefs and anybody in the food and beverage industry in America and in England. And we're going to have a whole lot of shows and events, highly publicized, and we're going to invite people in Nigeria, people from West Africa, anybody and everybody that is into any type of media that's going to come and see what we're doing in Nigeria and abroad.
That's amazing. So you mentioned African food and the fact that it's influenced a lot of different cuisines around the world, but how big a role do you think Africa has to play in world cuisine?
Well, you know, like I said, you know, slave trade, you know, played a big role. You know, when the people came from West Africa and went to the Caribbean, they took with them, you know, peppers, rice, corn, even the cooking techniques. And some of these foods can still be found in places like Brazil. So, for example, you know, akara is a very popular dish eaten in Nigeria and even in places like Ghana.
And you've got it in Brazil, and they call it acarajé, and they put cheese and bacon bits inside. Yes,
so you see a lot of the same types of food made in different variations in other places. Even in Jamaica, they eat this thing called plantain fufu, which they eat in Ghana. So it's basically the same thing, but they just call it a different name. So you see a lot and lots of different types of variations of our food, and you see even common things like plantain, and that's what we're discussing today, plantain and cassava.
Is this plantain?
Yes, it's plantain.
No, it's not.
It is.
You are lying to me.
It's plantain.
I thought this was a Scotch egg.
No, it's plantain.
So how exactly, why does it look like this? How can this be plantain?
Well, okay, so to make this, you just take your overripe plantain.
Okay.
You boil it within the skin, And then after you've boiled it, you mash it.
Right.
And then you add your different ingredients like your peppers, your garlic, your chopped herbs.
Yes.
And then you roll it into a ball or into a cylinder. You dip it in your eggs, your breadcrumb, and you fry it.
Oh.
And that's how it comes out.
That looks phenomenal. And what's the rest of the stuff on this plate here?
Okay,
So let's take a little look at that as you're presenting it. Tell me about what we have here.
We have plantain chips.
That's plantain?
Yeah.
No,
Those
it's
are plantain
not.
Chips. Yam chips, yam chips.
You can't deceive me.
Yam chips, and you know, in the Caribbean, they're called yuca chips.
Okay.
In Nigeria, we're called yam chips. So this is yam chips.
We're not very experimental with our naming, are we?
Yes. So we have yam chips.
Okay,
there.
so that's that there.
And then we have some avocado. We have some shredded chicken.
Okay.
And then we also have.
So is this typically Nigerian?
Well, not typically Nigerian, but you know, we use a lot of avocado in Nigeria. Avocado can also be eaten in places like the Caribbean, South America, and you know, they eat it on their sandwiches, like the Dominican. Like Dominicans, they eat a lot of pork, plantain. They have this pork
beans,
plantain
avocado,
sandwich.
pork, and yes, and bread. I love it. It's one of my favorite things to eat over there.
Yes. So this is how this came along, just the inspiration.
Right.
And of course, here we have some shrimp.
Okay. And what did you use to marinate the shrimp then?
I used some garlic and I
Okay.
used some Berber spice.
Oh, Berber from Morocco.
Yes.
Atom's just come back from Morocco, Afro Lems, and she was telling us how the spices are very similar to the Nigerian way
Yes.
of flavoring food.
Yes.
Do you share the same sentiments?
Yes, I think so. I think
Interesting.
they have some type of correlation.
So why are you choosing to highlight Africa's role in world cuisine?
Well, I think that it's more looking at a positive side of how West Africa influenced the world. Because when you think of slave trade, it's sad, it's depressing, but you know, you can take some positive things from a negative consequence.
So we've got your positive spin on jollof rice on the
Yes.
screen right now. Why does that look so sensational? I mean, jollof rice anyway is amazing, but that looks phenomenal. That looks like something you'd find in like a very high-end restaurant. Where did the inspiration for this plating technique come from?
Well, number one, I love jollof rice. Jollof rice is like my favorite food.
I think that's every Nigerian's favorite
Yes.
sentence. Jollof rice is my favorite type of food.
It was just, well, I was hungry and I just decided, let me just make something that I'm really good at. So I used a ring mold
Okay.
to mold the rice. Then I cut up my plantain very small, put it on top of my jollof rice. Then I used some some leaves that I found in my vegetable mix, put it on top.
You just found the leaves somewhere?
Yes.
Do we know what kind of leaves they are?
Oh, like in my my salad mix.
Oh,
I
right,
just found-
okay,
yeah.
okay.
And
Amazing,
then,
that is gorgeous.
Sesame chicken.
Okay, so what is in the, I know you said you've got a few events coming up worldwide, taking Africa to the global stage, but what is going on, what do you see happening in the next year or so for your personal food blog and your personal brand?
Well, I guess I will have to start writing a food blog because I don't have any at the moment. I'm not a technical person. I'm like the worst when it comes to technology. So I guess I'll start writing a food blog. And I'll probably start doing more events because I've put them on hold for now.
Okay.
So I'll start
Because
doing...
you do brunch clubs a
Yes.
lot of the time, don't you?
Yes, so I'm actually planning one in October. Ending of October, so...
Amazing. Well, we will be there. And I'm going to see you later on in the show, but it's time for a break, unfortunately. I'm going to eat those plantain. What do you call them?
Plantain courgettes.
Plantain courgettes. Okay, honey. It's time now for a short break on the morning show, but stay tuned as when we return, it's time for Our Take. Don't go away.